Hi there. So we're entering week, can't remember, of lockdown, and I don't know about you, but I spent this morning pondering the horror of purchasing a pair of hairdressing scissors. I've held off as yet, but let's see. Time will tell whether I crack or not. And I've also, one of the things we've been thinking about is through all of this, through listening to the government's, our government, other governments' communication around coronavirus, is how important it is to flex to different audience groups. Because ultimately you can take a central group of messages, some of which might be as simple as stay home, protect the NHS. Others might be more complicated, such as sharing the set of packages available, rescue packages that the government's making available for people in different situations. So taking those set of messages and then adjusting them so that they can be understood by audience groups as varied as primary school children, corporate CEOs, public servants, teachers, parents, really flexing so those different groups understand and take on board what they need to take on board is a significant challenge, but it's really important. So how do you do it? Well, we think you start by segmenting your audience into relevant groups, thinking about their experience, what they do, what they care about, what their culture is. And then there are 5 areas where you might make an adjustment. The first area is in terms of tone. Now this is really important to get right. People won't thank you for it, but they will notice if you get it wrong. And what we have to remember there is that for one person, the studied, slightly stilted neutrality of a legal or financial update is horrendous. But actually for another group, the slightly goofy familiarity of the innocent smoothie packet is equally horrendous. So getting the tone right by thinking about the levels of formality that are required, the levels of linguistic precision, your relationship with the audience, your status relative to the audience, that sort of thing is really, really important. A whole number of adjustments you might make in that area. The second thing really is about the existing knowledge of your audience. What do they already know? And if you start telling them things they already know, they're quite likely to switch off pretty quickly. Equally, if you assume they know things, you're running other risks. So getting that right by doing your homework is really important. And then arguably also by using framing, by using signposting to let your audience know what you're going to talk to them about so they can then make a choice over whether it's relevant and interesting or not is important, as well as pointing them towards where they can find information that they might need to fill any gaps. Then the third area is about the complexity, the detail, the length of what you're saying. A good rule of thumb is to read The Economist magazine and see how they do it. Ultimately, everything that they write about, which are big topics, could be understood pretty easily by a 14-year-old, for example, whereas something like Harvard Law Review is much more complex. There's a lot more technical information in it, and that's right for their audience. So adjusting those things for your audience is really crucial. Before moving really to the fourth area where you might adjust, which is to do with your stories, your data, your examples. And any successful US presidential candidate knows the importance of getting the right story to really land a point. That's the bit of content you might switch in and switch out accordingly. And then finally, your call to action. Sometimes it's tempting not to have one of those if you think, well, there's so many different people with so many things I want them to do. But that's, we would suggest, a mistake. So really thinking hard about what you actually want to ask of that specific audience is another important way to flex. I hope that's been useful. Speak to you soon.